uh, and we know how, at least with our crowd, what the word religion has become. Uh, it leaves not a good taste in some people's mind, some people's mouths, the word religion. And it seems like the three jewels seems to be, oh yeah, he's gonna throw some doctrine at us. Well, for those of you who are already familiar with the topic of the three jewels and taking refuge, tonight is going to be somewhat different. I'm not going to take the usual approach, so don't have that list in your mind. I mean, you can have that list in your mind as to, oh yeah, he touched that, he touched that, oh yeah, he touched that. Wait a minute, he hasn't touched that yet. When is he going to touch that, touch that? All right, so I'm going to ask you to throw that away. All right, that's not going to be that's not going to be the approach of how I'm going to present the three jewels tonight. And I'm not really the three jewels, but rather refuge. And I believe when was that? In one of the classes that we had, uh, I believe Emmett asked the question about, well, what can we rely on anyway? If and that should have been the first thing that came to my mind, but it wasn't. And what is it that you can really rely on? That's the three jewels. And we have to come to an understanding of what the three jewels are. And we have to make them very intimate. If we don't make them very intimate, then they cannot be a refuge for us. Okay? And we'll also talk about what does it mean to take refuge in them. Okay, what does it mean to take refuge? All right. So according to the format, a little meditation, and then we'll talk, and then probably enough time for questions and comments and your participation, and then we'll close with a meditation. And we're going to continue to do the same meditation that we've been doing for some time now. Okay, at least the closing one. The opening one depends on whatever the evening calls for. Okay, and I don't know what the evening calls for yet. Once when we start, then I'll know the same way, same time you know. Okay, so get ready to do the meditation. So begin with a clear intention to enter the meditative state. And what does that mean to enter the meditative state? So let that come into your mind. Whatever it means to you. And what is your purpose? What is your motivation? What is your reason for accessing the meditative state? Let that also come to the surface of your mind. Whatever it may be. Doesn't have to be something that is written somewhere that in a book that says these are the motivations you should have. Whatever is your real motivation, let that come to the surface. And as you do that, notice how your body is responding. There's a intelligence in the body responding to this intention. Allow that intelligence to guide you at least as far as how should you position the posture so the body itself can be an ally in seeking and accessing the meditative state. So when you feel the need to make an adjustment, understand that to be that intelligence communicating to you. So when you make that adjustment, make it consciously, deliberately, understanding what it means. Just think of natural as far as the body is concerned. Let the body be comfortable in a natural place, natural posture. Let the body be stable also in a natural posture. And by connecting to these two qualities in the body, you will already begin the process of touching the meditative state through the body. As you begin to experience any sense of calm, have the joy of knowing that you're witnessing, you are beginning the journey already. You're already entering the meditative state. And allow that calming to take place in the body. And by merely bringing awareness to that is happening in the body, notice that the breath becomes affected by it, that calming. The mind becomes affected by it, by that calming. And just continue to allow it. And once you feel confident in the comfort and stability of the posture, and there's a sense of having released any sense of control in the body, then gently come to the breath. Understand that now you are on the bridge and you're about to make the last step, the step of completely committing yourself to enter the meditative state. And we will sort of sign this commitment with a deep breath. Through the nose, we will breathe in gently, fully, and we will completely just naturally let the breath out through the mouth and just follow it, letting go, letting go. So make sure you're comfortable, make the last adjustments in the posture. And through the nose, take that nice deep commitment breath. Through the nose, breathe in. And through the mouth, just release. And as you release, let go in the body, let go in the mind, let go in the breath, keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go. And as you keep letting go, notice the signs enhancing, the signs of calming, the pleasantness naturally, simultaneously arising with the calming. Stay with it, keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go. Keep letting go. Now leave the breath alone. Let the breath return to its own rhythm and just stay in that momentum of letting go, letting go. Notice that momentum of letting go in the body, palpably arising, enhancing the sense of calm in the body, enhancing the sense of calm in the breath, enhancing the sense of calm in the mind. Keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go, leaving the breath alone, keep letting go. And come rest your attention on the breath without grasping, without rejecting, without forcing the mind to focus, without controlling the breath, just observing and being aware of the calm and the pleasantness, and also whatever else may be present. We're not rejecting and we're not grasping. And as you are now in some measure in the meditative state, stay connected to the signs that you are so that you can have the confidence of knowing that you are. And this confidence will help you go deeper into the meditative state. The confidence is invoked through awareness of the calm in the body. And gently scan the body, being aware of the signs of calm and pleasantness in the legs. Relax them. Notice the calm, rejoice. Bring attention to the torso, relax. Notice the signs of calm and pleasantness, rejoice. Bring awareness to the arms from the shoulders all the way to the tip of the fingers. Relax. Notice the signs of calm and pleasantness, rejoice. And slowly there is arising a sense of a commonness to all parts of the body. Continue staying with that. Bring awareness to the head and neck. Allow them to be centered so there's no conscious effort in holding them in place. Relax the hold in the head and neck. Notice the calm, notice the pleasantness. Rejoice. Allow the mouth, teeth, tongue to rest in their natural places. Notice the calm, notice the pleasantness. Rejoice. Bring awareness to the muscles of the face and forehead. Relax. Rejoice, witnessing the calm and the pleasantness. And there seems to be the overall sense of calming, as though all those different calmness in those different parts of the body are combining into one whole experience of calm. Notice, bring awareness to the eyes as they rest softly. Relax. And whatever for you is relaxed for the eyes, completely closed, slightly open, gazing straight ahead, whatever works for you, connecting you through your eyes to that sense of calming, to that sense of pleasantness. And notice the overall sense of that calm, the overall sense of that pleasantness. Bring attention to the breath and notice in a palpable way, just as palpably you are aware of that calm and the pleasantness in the body. Notice that calm and pleasantness in the breath. The very mechanism of breathing is taking on a pleasantness. And now bring awareness to these qualities of calming and pleasantness that as they exist in a palpable way, in their own palpable way, purely in the mind. In addition to witnessing them, acknowledging them, also witness in the mind other presences pointing to the meditative state. What you could say are indirect pointing to clarity, to radiance. These very sensations that are arising seemingly by themselves, or seemingly to hear something, seemingly to feel something, movement, energy, heat, seemingly seeing something, colors, shapes, definite visions. And no need to try to understand them, no need to try to know why this color, why this sound. Just understand that what they're doing right now is pointing to clarity and radiance. And gently within that, come to the space in front of you at the level of your eyebrows. And eventually you begin to feel some sensation in the forehead. Ascribe to that sensation as to your natural capacity to focus. So whenever that is in doubt as you meditate, come to the sensation. And also ascribe to that sensation as the presence of something within you calling you towards something that is promising you final fulfillment, final actual satisfaction. It's not quite clear what will be the satisfying thing, but the experience of satisfaction is promised. Or you could say a pull towards an experience that will give you the sense of fulfilling the definition of being. And notice the sincerity. Never mind what the object or what the path may be, but the measure of conviction that such an experience is possible for you. To that conviction, display a sense of reverence, respect, trust, and gratitude. Knowing that Your aspiration to experience this final sense of satisfaction is sincere. You may have been misdirected, misguided, you may have followed wrong instructions, but the aspiration itself is sincere. The path, the instructions may have been misleading, but the aspiration is sincere. So go to that aspiration itself. And towards that aspiration, express a deep sense of respect, reverence, and be open to its guidance, be open to its protection. There's a part of you that feels in some measure that you can trust it, that you can be guided by it. It will guide you. And we are using the pronoun it, not because we know what it is, but just for the sake of speaking about it, communicating. We use it. Doesn't matter if it's unclear, but there's a part that is clear. Stay with that and keep expressing reverence. Keep expressing trust. It's not that instinct that is wrong, that is misguiding. It is the misunderstandings. Make sure you make a clear distinction between that. And when you feel that what you might call the purity of that, then again, then connect with your sense of deep reverence, respect. Connect with your sense of trusting, relying, and gratitude. And little by little, feel a sense of opening of your heart and mind. A sense of touching something clear and true. Don't grasp, don't reject. And it is that attitude I want you to continue to hold on to as much as you can, to keep going back to as we go into the talk. And let that be your sense of readiness for the talk. Okay, get ready to arise from the meditation. Keeping that sense of connection, to that reverence, to that trust, to that gratitude. Make the intention to arise from the meditation. And with that, take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out the mouth. Breathe out, feel and hear it. And with that, with joy, reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect with your sense of touch, being aware of the temperature, the feel of the clothing on you. Again, reconnect with your sense of hearing, hearing the different sounds, the close sounds, the far sounds, and allowing your eyes again to take on light, shades, colors, and shapes. And okay. I think it's best if we begin by thinking about a situation where there was an instinct of going towards something. And try to really be aware of the state of mind that is really trusting, that is really having the sense of complete confidence that whatever it is that they're going towards to, it doesn't matter if what happens at the end, whether whatever it is that they were going to actually give them or promise or give them what they felt was being promised to them, but rather just that state of mind of relying on something and the sense of trust that was in that state of mind, the sense of knowing something. So think of that state of mind. That is the mind of refuge. That is a mind that knows or has a sense of knowing, has a sense of trust, and has a conviction that whatever it is that they're reaching out for will provide them something that they feel that is missing, whatever it is. With the example of in the email, the example of missing a step and then reaching out for the handrail. So take that split moment for a moment. Let's analyze that split moment. What's happening in the mind? And if we can understand what's happening there, then we can understand the act of taking refuge itself. So you're about to fall. There's a result that you do not want to have, and that the result that you would prefer to have. And instinctively, it seems, you reach out, and the handrail seems to be something, there's something about the handrail, there's something about, something's happening with your perception with the handrail that seems to validate to you that this will protect you from experiencing that which you do not wish to experience. And this will also help you to experience that which you wish to experience. And because of this conviction that is taking place, you reach and you grab onto the handrail. Okay. And if the handrail is actually strong enough, it will fulfill that for you. Okay. Now, what if the handrails were not strong enough? Let's say they were loose, or they were not made out of strong material. Maybe they were an hallucination. They were made out of paper, and it looked like they could hold on to, they could provide you what you were looking for. So you reach out, but there's still the reaching out. There's still something, a quick thing that happens in the mind that analyzes, that looks at the handrail, that sees the handrail, that saw the handrail, and then places trust in the handrail. You will help me to prevent that which I want, that which I do not want to experience. And you will help me experience that which I want to experience. And I'm relying on you to do it. Okay. If the handrails provided that, fulfill that, then it will create in the mind a kind of, it will strengthen the conviction to continue to rely on handrail. But there are a couple of things happening there that you are perceiving, that you are receiving, that there's a relationship that is taking place there. And there are elements of that relationship that we are aware of, and there are a lot of things going on in that relationship that we're not aware of. When it is paper and we still reach out to it, hoping that it will help us, and it doesn't provide that help, were we wrong for wanting to reach out for help? Were we wrong for thinking that the handrail made out of paper would provide what we want from it? And when the handrails fail, when they fail to provide that which we were looking for, that we were wanting from them, is it their fault that it didn't do it for us? And this is something that we have to keep in mind. It's very important. The status of that which we are leaning on. Okay? And something about us perceiving it. So there's perceiving it, there's aspiration, there's perception, and there's some sort of conclusion made about the perception, the data that we have received. And then there's relying, okay? And then there's the object itself that we are relying on, okay? If the handrails are strong enough, then they will protect you from falling. If they're not strong enough, they will not be able to protect you from falling. And what we have to understand, these elements that are part of this experience, we have to be able to set them apart. They're not one thing. It's not one thing. The refuge, you could say, is simply at the end of making the assessment, is actually surrendering and relying. That's the refuge. Even though Buddhists, you could say, make use of the term refuge a lot, so it seems to be connected to them, to the point where they have the objects of refuge and the sense of, do you have refuge? That's a question that a Buddhist will ask another Buddhist if they don't know if they are Buddhist or not, because that's when it is said to be, that's when you're considered to be a Buddhist. But I don't want to use the term Buddhist as a social kind of thing, but rather, and not to make it only Buddhist, only if you're a Buddhist, you are this thing, but rather to really universalize it, okay? So it's not, taking refuge is not something that only Buddhists do. So we're going to speak about it broadly in a universal way. And the term Buddhist itself, I'm going to broaden it to make it not just something, a label for a specific group of people who call themselves that, right? Because even amongst Buddhists, you have great teachers who are pointing to very famous seemingly famous personalities, and they say, oh, that person is not even a Buddhist yet. And even though this person is supposed to be renowned as a Buddhist lecturer or Buddhist, somebody who presents, somebody who's supposed to be a Buddhist and is presenting and teaching how to become a Buddhist. And some very high realized beings, they would point to such a person, people like that. They would say, "Oh, this person is not even a Buddhist." So what is it that what is it that they mean then? That person is not even a Buddhist. Okay. So in that sense, I'm using the term Buddhist. Okay. And you can use the term. You can use the word. You can exchange it with any other word that you want. Okay. All right. So what is considered to be the kind of handrails that will protect you when you're about to fall? What should be the quality of those handrails? That's something we have to understand, because not every handrail will fulfill the will help you achieve being able to protect you. They will not be able to protect you. Okay. Yeah, and there are handrails all over the place. Okay. So what should be the quality of that you're depending on, so that it will always be something that you can depend on? So the handrail that protected you 10 years ago may not be able to continue to protect you 10 years later. Something is happening to it. And that's what we meant by last time when we said things which are constantly undergoing change, conditional things are not entirely reliable. Okay. It's not that they provide no reliance whatsoever. It's not that you cannot rely on them whatsoever, but rather you cannot completely rely on them all the time. We can rely on them maybe on certain times. Okay, like the handrail is undergoing change, and perhaps the strength that it was able to have is slowly going away, and then one day it will not be able to provide you the strength that you need for you to be able to depend on it. Now, with the example, I'm about to fall, and then instinctively going towards the handrail for help, relying on them to support me. This should be the instinct that is referred to as taking refuge in the so-called three jewels. That should be your instinct. Okay? And this is the instinct that you're asked to cultivate when you are supposedly practicing this act of taking refuge. And just like when you first grab on the handrail and it does the job of protecting you, then you register in your mind, in your experience, oh, that is something that I can rely on. So next time you don't hesitate to grab onto it. Huh? Now there's something that is happening moment to moment, and that's where perception comes in. So it's not just handrail, remember, protected me in the past. That's not the only thing that we are relying on. There's also moment to moment perception that is going on, a moment to moment analysis that is going on. And when I say analysis, don't get scared. I know some people are, they get, analysis, I'm not listening anymore. I don't like that word analysis, okay? Don't get scared, don't get pissed off just because I say the word analysis, okay? What I'm referring to is you assessing the situation, okay? Looking at colors, shape, looking at the way the light, maybe even unconsciously listening to the way it's vibrating, the sound that's coming from it. That is, and you're matching that with something in your database, something in your memory bank that tells you, oh yeah, that's it. it was something like that that helped you last time. Go ahead, rely on it. Okay. But this is happening moment to moment. So there's a memory. Something strong will help you. So this looks strong, but we have to not stop there. We have to continue connecting with the moment to moment. Is it really something that matches what helped me before? Is there something about it that can tell me it's not strong enough? Is there something about it that can tell me it's paper? I cannot rely on it. Or if it is paper, is there a way for me to rely on it that I would not rely on if it was iron or if it was wood? Is there a way that I can rely on it? And that will depend on past experience. So yes, past experience is good, but the present moment to moment is also equally important. And then, of course, there is, and the moment to moment doesn't mean to constantly hesitate. It doesn't mean constantly being in doubt, because that would be a very uncomfortable state of mind to be constantly in doubt when you're engaging in something, trying to assess it. Okay, and don't think that assessing itself is a tiring thing, and you want one day to no longer have to do that. Okay, what you want to do is just like the instinct to rely is spontaneous. You want the capacity to assess. Yes, this is the thing that will provide the help that I want. You want that capacity, that ability of assessing to be as spontaneous as the instinct. I want to rely on something. Okay. As you are cultivating refuge, that is, as you are creating in your mind a reality where you feel that there is something, wherever that thing could be, whatever that thing could be, whoever that thing could be, that I can rely on it. I can depend on it. Okay. And there are various levels of dependence. There is what you might call the relative, everyday, kind of worldly kind of dependence. It looks like that job, that position is something that I can rely on in order for me to fulfill this and that. The aspiration to fulfill this and that, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, in your assessment of that position, in your assessment of that job, did you assess it properly to see if it actually has within it the means to actually fulfill what you're aspiring to fulfill, to get? Okay? And then you rely on it. And in relying on it, and you're also getting information. Is it providing? To what measure is it providing? Is it providing totally? Halfway? Is there something else missing? So you're assessing. And you're assessing what is it that's in there that because it's present, it's not fulfilling. What is it that's absent from there because it's absent, it's not fulfilling? Or what is it that's there that's helping to fulfill? What is it that's not there because it's helping to fulfill? Okay. Well, and what I'm trying to get to, I want to get to the real essence of refuge. Okay. And I have not even mentioned what are these three jewels. And you already know what they are. It is the state of a being who is completely aligned with truth. Completely aligned with truth. And because that being is completely aligned with truth, then their spontaneous action, their spontaneous manifestations or always in line with truth. Okay? That's the Buddha. And the truth itself, the true nature of reality itself, that is the Dharma. And whoever is seeking to align themselves with that, that's the spiritual community, that's the Sangha. Okay. And the reason for seeking the Buddha, the reason for seeking the being, so in essence, it's a psychological need, perhaps. We need validation from other. When we encounter someone, there's a desire within us that almost seeking to resonate with a desire, a deep desire within, a deep knowing within, that within this continuum, there's a feeling of the capacity to achieve true satisfaction, the capacity to fulfill the definition of being. There seems to be that capacity. And there seems to be a hint of a vision of this being connected to this continuum, being part of this continuum, that this continuum can one day see itself as being that being. But because of tremendous experience being guided by misunderstanding, where this refuge, this energy, I'm going to call it an energy, this energy of refuge, of anchoring ourselves in something, sort of giving it power, surrendering to it, so that we, in some sense, in some measure, get closer to fulfill the definition of being. And you understand what I mean by fulfilling the definition of being. And this is something that can be understood in a very broad way, okay? You can call that enlightenment if you want to, and it doesn't have to be enlightenment. It could be just in this very moment, experiencing a sense of satisfaction, okay? And how will that be accomplished? Following what, doing what, listening to what, being what? What is it that will help make the transition? And it doesn't matter what your philosophical outlook is, in the sense of we're already enlightened, whatever that means. So whatever it is that will help you get that transition from, okay, you're already enlightened, but I can't see it. I'm not living it. Whatever help you get to that transition of, oh, look, yeah, I'm enlightened. Look at me. I am acting. I am existing as an enlightened being. I'm perceiving myself doing what an enlightened being would do. So whether it's I'm already enlightened, whether it's I'm going to become enlightened, I mean, in the end, in the final analysis of it, it's just whoever it helps. Okay, if it helps you to say I'm enlightened already, okay, that's your Dharma, that's your path of transforming yourself into that. If it's something I have to achieve, then if that helps you, then that's your Dharma, that's your path to achieve it, and either one will help. Okay, if you sincerely rely on it, if you sincerely follow whatever it is help the path that it lays out for you. Okay. So whatever you go through that helps you go through the process of transforming, whether you believe enlightenment, something's going to happen in a split moment, whatever it is that helps that make that split moment happen, whether you believe it takes 3 countless eons, whatever will help you go through that transition of 3 countless eons. Okay, that's the Dharma, that's the path. That's, you could say, slowly aligning our our continuum with the true nature of things. Okay, and whatever you want to call the true nature of things, that's your. It doesn't matter, as long as it's not your imagination and trying to force your imagination to be reality. Okay, but rather what is experience without you forcing it to be something for you. Okay, and that, and I don't want you to jump into some sort of abstract of this ultimate truth, but rather whatever is taking place, whatever is of of sincere value, that's the truth. Okay, and I'm referring to. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that is way in the distance. Okay, the very fact, like for example, like I said, I'm an angry person. That's the truth, because all the conditions for an angry person to be for a person to be an angry person are present. All the conditions are there. So in this moment in time, because of this condition, that's what is here. That's the expression of this continuum, an angry person. And it could be something that I have denied myself knowing. It could be something that I'm blind to myself to knowing, but it is a truth. Because, oh, look at those signs. That's what an angry person, that's what they do. That's how they think. That's how they feel. Okay. So that's a truth that we have to be able to align ourselves with. But this is not necessarily an ultimate truth in a sense of, well, I'm an angry person since the beginning of time, and there will not be a time where I will not be an angry person. That's something else. To make that an ultimate is simply to deny exactly what is in front of you. Yesterday I was not angry, and today I am angry. Yesterday I was happy, today I am sad. What is going on? What is it? What is actually is your experience? And to align yourself with what is actually going on. Okay, and it is only through acknowledging what is actually going on, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, whether it is something that you call afflictive or something that is serene or peaceful, is to actually to know this is what's going on. This is what's going on. That's aligning yourself with truth. Okay, that's how you align yourself with truth. And by aligning yourself with the truth, that is called the conventional, the everyday, the worldly, then you will be able to reveal to yourself what you might call the more subtle aspects of reality. Okay, and eventually arrive at something that we call the ultimate, whatever that may be. Okay, all right. So that process, that's the Dharma, that truth that is calling you, that sense of something capable of helping you achieve that transformation, that whatever that is, that's the Dharma. Okay, and when and the Sangha, the I'm not going to give you the so-called authoritative definition of what each one of these is supposed to be, because the purpose here is for you to be able to, tonight after you leave, to start implementing them. So I'm not going to give you definitions and terms that just decorate your intellect, but rather to spur you to action, to recognize certain things. This is what's going on. This is what's been going on. Okay, so the Sangha traditionally is supposed to be some people outside who are sincerely seeking what you're seeking. And because they are sincerely seeking what you're seeking, a community that is sincerely seeking what you're seeking, then you can rely on them. But because they have not achieved fully what you're seeking, so you can rely on them to a certain degree. And if they make mistakes, they should be able to recognize I made a mistake, because they are aligning themselves with what is, right? Oh, this was a mistake. And they're not ashamed to communicate that to you. And then you can, oh, that was a mistake. Thank you for telling me that. Okay. So in the same way, the Sangha, or all the, and I'm not saying that we all have, well, all the different parts of you they have to align themselves also. There shouldn't be parts of you that are seeking different end goals, ultimate end goals. Somehow, by understanding that we are for the entirety, for the collection of who we are seeking a sense of satisfaction that it will be for the entirety of the being, for the entirety of every part of the collection. And there should be a sort of a community, an inner community, where the different parts of us are also aligning themselves towards that goal also. And the way to, that's why people tend to develop what you might call, what's referred to as different consciouses. There's the do it conscious and then don't do it conscious kind of thing. Is because we are not united in recognizing the essence of what we want, but we are divided because we are stuck to different paths of achieving certain things. And you can see that in the greater community of humanity. We are all seeking this to fulfill the sense of satisfaction. And because of our predispositions and because of the very nature of reality, because of what we bring, our individual contribution, then the Dharma, the path will be slightly different for different people. And for some other people, it could be drastically different, okay? But it's still the path for them because it's alignment with truth, the truth of what is, and then it will help them achieve this final sense of the fulfillment of the definition of being. And because we are stuck to our whatever path that we are on, thinking that it is the only way, then we are not united. So in the same way, then we become scattered. We become what's the opposite of unity? We become that. We become divided in ourselves. We become multiple beings where we are seemingly seeking different things, but we are just seeking the same thing within us through many different ways, many different avenues. All those different parts are actually seeking this fulfillment of being, but there's just not a concert for a sense of community, a sense of union, of recognizing that. And it seems like because this seems to be a good path and we are following it, and that seems to also to be a good path, and we are divided in ourselves, okay? So when we are united in ourselves, in first understanding that we are all, in the end, that's what we are seeking, and we should be open to when the means to fulfill that is presented itself to us so that we can recognize it and acknowledge it. So when we have that sense of openness, then we have the Sangha within. So that's a measure, that's a way of understanding the Sangha. So the Buddha is that potential within us to become that being that has, that can witness itself, that can experience in itself the sense of the fulfillment of the definition of being. The Dharma is the mind that is aligned with the truth. And the truth has its levels. You could say aligned with the nature of reality and the nature of reality itself. And the nature of reality is here too. The nature of reality is not out there. And it's not something you could say it's in here, not out there, or it's out there, not in here. It is in everything that exists. The true nature of reality, the Dharma. So the Dharma is here. The path to it is here. And the path to it is here because there's the aspiration for it. And when you're able to align yourself with your true aspiration, your sincere aspiration, you have found the path. And then you will find yourself discovering truth discovering truth, layer by layer, layer by layer. The reason that I've not been able to do this or that is because now I see I have this within me that is an obstacle, that is discovering the truth. Okay. And perhaps it will be maybe one day that you just go into, you're the worst person on the planet. And then somehow you enter into a meditation, boom, now you have fulfilled the definition of being. You're a completely enlightened being. Maybe, okay? But the thing is, what will help you to be able to get to that moment? That's your path. That's your Dharma, okay? And that nature of reality that we all share, that everything that exists, if it exists, shares this nature. That's why we are able to relate with one another. We are able to relate with different aspects of reality because we share this nature, okay? Now, I've explained in some very universal way the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And that's supposed to be the ultimate object, the ultimate source of reliance. Now, how do we do that? How do we rely on this Buddha, Dharma, Sangha when they seem to be so abstract? The handrail is very visible and it's very tangible. There is a perception taking place where the assessment can say, oh, this is paper, this is wood, or rely on something else. There's some tangible thing there, but the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha seem to be very abstract things. And can we, if they remain for us forever abstracts, can they actually be as reliable as the handrail? And they should be as reliable as the handrail. If they remain forever abstract, they cannot provide you any kind of refuge. And that's what the practice of taking refuge is. It is aligning ourselves, just like doing the assessment with the handrail, so we can say, oh yes, I can rely on that because I am seeing elements in that tells me I can rely on it. So in that same way, there must be a sense of perception towards the three jewels, these things they're calling the three jewels, where in the same way you feel that's real, reliable, the handrail, you can say they're the three jewels that's also really, really reliable. Okay. Until we have that sense, we will find ourselves sometimes taking refuge in them, sometimes relying on them, and sometimes we will find ourselves instinctively, spontaneously relying on other things. And the way to begin doing this, yes, I have to admit, there will be an experience of them being abstract. And in that realm of abstract, then we have to have what you might call abstract reliance, abstract taking refuge. And by exercising that, we will be able to have in that same instinct of grabbing the handrail, when we are in a situation where we want to rely on something, our instinct will be to rely on the three jewels. And how do we actually exercise relying on the three jewels, on these things that we feel to some extent in a deep way exists? And when that instinct is coming to the surface and then it is covered up with all of our worldly experiences, covered with all our already misunderstandings, is covered up with all our what you might call our intellectual processes, our conceptualizations. When it comes to the surface, then we don't, in that instinctive way level where we feel that we've made contact with them, we don't feel that they are as clear when they come to when they seem to come to the surface, that we can actually rely on them. And because of that, we find ourselves going towards other things when we should be going towards those three things. And so abstract way of taking refuge. There's a sense within me about the possibility of the reality of the three jewels that is, I can fulfill the definition of being, whatever that means. And I'm not going to be the only one in the history of the universe that's going to do that. There must have been someone, because I do witness people who are more skilled than me in this and that. So there must have been someone who is even more skilled than me in making, on that path of fulfilling the definition of being. And if I were to become such a being, I would be able to be of some kind of help to others. Okay, so there must be someone else who has achieved that. And in the same way that I feel there's a path, in the same way that I feel there's a truth, someone must have already completely achieved it, seen it, perceived it, and that person is able to reveal it if I ask that person, if I encounter that person. So all these are at the level of possibility. And it could also be the possibility that you may be the first. Maybe all those beings that you've heard about who have reached enlightenment, maybe they didn't reach the enlightenment. Maybe you will be the very first one to achieve enlightenment. And how will you be able to do that? Okay. So the first is a sense of there must be some other who has achieved that. And I can rely on them. And now, I can rely on them if I encounter them. I mean, I encounter the handrail. How do I encounter those beings? And in the last analysis of it, whether it is a being outside or whether it is your own potential, all this is happening in your own mind. And where is the refuge? What is the object of the refuge there? The object of the refuge is your conviction. Okay? The object of your conviction of the three jewels is your conviction in their existence. Whether it is in the possibility, the potential of them in your continuum, or the potential of them having been realized in some other being's continuum. It is that conviction that you're taking refuge in. And it is that conviction that will connect you either to your potential to become that, or to some other being out there maybe who can guide you. First, there must be that conviction. And the way to exercise that conviction is to understand that that which is calling me, how does it feel real? And the sincerity of my being drawn towards it, how real does that feel? So go to that sense, and that will give you the measure of conviction that you need. So that's one level of achieving that conviction. The other measure of achieving that conviction is whenever you're about to do anything, whatever it may be, even if it's something that is, you could say it's a done deal, okay? Tell yourself that it is my potential that is helping to fulfill this. It is the potential already realized in others that is helping me to fulfill this. Okay. So even though there's no direct evidence, there's no direct perception that, oh, look at my potential working for me, working hard for me. Oh, look at the Buddha over there working hard for me. Okay. Even though there's no direct perception of that, but by aligning ourselves to that conviction within, and then sort of making an affirmation before we do anything, something, no matter how, it doesn't have to be some grand thing, okay? Don't take refuge only when it comes to grand things. Take refuge whenever there's a aspiration to fulfill, to have any sense of fulfillment in anything. Okay? That's how you exercise that connection. That's how you exercise that conviction, to strengthen it. Okay. And now, and this is something the idea that there are three jewels, the number three itself is not some sort of coincidence. Oh, that philosophy too, they also have a three. That philosophy, they also have a three. They also have a one. And that's where the universal understanding is supposed to be. No. Okay. Where my three is the real three, your three is not the real three. Okay. If you rely on my three, then you will have a sturdy something truly reliable to rely on. Your three cannot help you. That's the fake handrail. That's the handrail made out of paper. It looks like it can help you, but it cannot. But you are close to it because you got that three thing. Okay. This is where the true universality of it is. And this is something that I would like to point to as an innate wisdom. I'm not talking about innate wisdom the way, in that deep philosophical way of innate wisdom. I'm talking about that within us that how do we know we have found the truth when we have encountered it? What validation, what will validate that for us? Okay, that is the innate wisdom I'm referring to. How do you know you have reached it? It's something within you that will tell you, that will validate it for you. So that validator, that's what I'm referring to as innate wisdom. Okay. Because of this, this innate validator, this innate capacity to be able to say, oh yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, you got it. Now you can go on. Okay. And be able to demonstrate to yourself that it is the truth. We all have it. It doesn't matter if you are spiritual or not spiritual, religious or not religious, if you belong to this religion or that religion, we all have it. If we didn't have it, there wouldn't be so many different means. There wouldn't be so many different religions. Okay. We are in a way seeking to exercise that. It doesn't mean that whenever we think we're exercising it, that we are actually exercising this innate wisdom, but we are seeking to exercise it. There's something within us that is guiding us, or that is prompting us to exercise something that we might call innate wisdom. And this is where universality of it is. It doesn't matter if salvation, what I'm referring to as the fulfillment of the definition of being, whether you call it salvation, whether you call it whatever, when that full final moment, whether it's the absolute final moment or a sense of a final moment or whatever it is, right? It will not, if everyone understands some sort of relating has to take place. We have to relate with ourselves in a certain way. We have to relate with others in a certain way in order for that to take place. Everyone understands that. So the means of relating that actually helps fulfill that is the Dharma. That is the teaching. Okay? And I already mentioned different people for different predisposition, different contributions will have slight different things, but there are certain things that they all share in common. And it has to do with the truth of our connection, the truth of our interrelatedness. And that truth is manifest, natural way, as what we refer to as compassion, as love. Somehow we have to align ourselves with the spontaneous, natural way of love and compassion. And the way we witness ourselves doing that, we have a sincere concern for wherever we see self. We develop that concern whenever we see self, that we have a sincere concern, we have a sincere sense of connection, a sincere wish for that expression of self to also fulfill the definition of being, to be free of obstacles towards that, to be free of the experiences that gives us a sense of being far away from that. And it is in having this kind of sincerity, sincere concern, sincere compassion, sincere love, that's taking refuge. When we allow compassion and love to guide our actions, we are taking real refuge. It doesn't matter what you call that compassion, what you call that love, but as long as it is an action taken from a sincere concern, a sincere wish for the other to be free, a sincere wish for the other to be truly content, to fulfill the definition of being, and we act. And the actions, depending again on the action, when you align yourself with truth, with the fluidity of reality, the actions will be different in different situations, even for the same person, seeming same person. Okay. So when it is truly aligned with compassion, that's taking refuge. When compassion calls us, and for whatever reason we turn ourselves away from compassion, then we're not taking refuge in the ultimate. We are taking refuge in the paper handrail. When there is a conviction within us, it doesn't matter what is going on, how hopeless situations appear, but we don't fall for that appearance of hopelessness, because we understand the appearance of hopelessness is something that is changing. It is something that is not fixed. It is something that we can interrelate with in such a way that we and the situation are transformed. When you hold on to that conviction and you act out of that conviction, that's taking refuge. When the compassionate side of you is acting, when the part of you that is really assessing, yeah, I have this fault, I have this error in me, or this is true in me, this is a virtue in me, not because you're boasting, not because you're fooling yourself. Either way, sometimes we boast and fool ourselves thinking, oh, I'm the worst person on the planet. And that's some kind of an ego trip, because it inflates us to think that we are the worst person on the planet. And sometimes we go the opposite. I'm the best person on the planet. Or both of these are lies. They're not in truth. They're not in align themselves with reality. That's taking refuge in the paper handrail. But when we acknowledge this is what's going on, this is the limit of my knowledge, and I recognize it. And when we rely on that means I need to know more, and we seek to know more. When what we instinctively recognize as this is the way to be in alignment with the true nature of reality, and we act that way, we speak that way, we think that way, we rest that way, then we are taking refuge. Okay. then we are taking refuge. And it seems abstract, but eventually becomes something that you do spontaneously. Okay. When there's a part within us that is there's seemingly a part within us that seems to be taking us on a path, on a journey that we feel, wait a minute, I remember that path. And that path doesn't lead to the fulfillment. It doesn't lead, actually, it leads to pain. When we restrain, or even if we have doubt, I'm not sure if this is going to help, and we restrain, or even just with the doubt, we are taking refuge. But when we have a sense that that path will lead us to an experience that distances us from that sense of fulfillment, then we are taking refuge in handrail made of paper. So taking refuge is always taking place. It's not that when there is a proper object of refuge, so-called proper object of refuge, that's when the act of taking refuge takes place. If taking refuge takes place continuously, it never stops. The thing is, we have to direct this energy, which creates our reality for us. That's why I'm calling it an energy. It's a power. It is creating our reality for us. If our reality is painful, suffering, then we are relying on the things that produces pain and suffering. We are taking refuge in the aspects of being. We are taking refuge in the kind of understanding. We are taking refuge in a kind of state of being that leads to pain and suffering. When we don't properly assess the handrail that is made of paper, and we then we lean on it, then we fall, we break our noses, and we scrape ourselves. We are taking refuge in paper handrail. We are taking refuge. So don't think that somehow you're not taking refuge. We are always taking refuge. Now we have to direct that. We have to direct it towards assessing what will really give me what refuge promises. Okay. Never believe a situation is completely hopeless. That's taking refuge. That's ultimate refuge in what you might call the three jewels. Okay. And when you're constantly working with that conviction, that faith in you, you're taking refuge. That's ultimate taking refuge. Okay. And reciting the so-called refuge formula, that's not even coming close to real taking refuge. It may help you because of the words, because if you direct your awareness on the words, and the words will probably help you connect with the essence, then you could say the formula, the words themselves will help you. But the words themselves are not taking refuge. Taking refuge is not taking refuge 6 times a day. Is not reciting Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, or that is not taking refuge. Those words are not taking refuge. But when you act out of conviction, you're taking refuge. Make sure your conviction is aligned with reality. Compassion is a very good indicator if you're aligned with the true nature of reality. Okay. When you do that, that's real taking refuge. So when you have a deep understanding of the connection that And this connection is not something for us to create. We're not going to create connection, but connection is already here. We are going to open our eyes. We are going to open our hearts to this already present connection. And based on the experiences that we've had, actual experiences that demonstrate, that points to this connection, and we continue to align ourselves to have more of that experience. And we develop a determination that throws us into an ocean of love, an ocean of compassion. And we are allowing this wave of compassion, this wave of love, to determine what direction we go into. That is truly an ultimate form of taking refuge. Okay. And then that means I don't have to tell you this very confusing thing, and get yourself ready. I said it, yeah. This very confusing thing that we all hear, especially those who already heard this thing about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. The Buddhas, the Dhamma cannot help you. This is very confusing. So I did not go into an explanation of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha in such a way where I end up confusing you, saying, oh yeah, that's the ultimate thing to rely on, but they cannot help you. Okay. So I don't have to go and say, well, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha cannot help you with your job. You shouldn't go to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha for your career advancement. And I tell you, as long as you're not attached to your career, that is, by attachment, you don't make it the ultimate fulfillment of being, just doing that. But you see it as a means of getting to that fulfillment. It is not itself the fulfillment, but is a means to that fulfillment. If the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha cannot help you with that, then how are they going to help you with the ultimate one? And when I say, how are they going to help you with the ultimate one? I'm not talking about, Buddha Miriam. How is Buddha Miriam going to help you? Okay? Not in that sense. Okay? But understanding what does it mean to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is to align yourself with truth and let that guide you. And when you allow it to guide you, you are taking ultimate refuge. And you don't have to worry about will Buddha Miriam help me get a job? Okay. That's not Buddha Miriam's job to help you get a job, okay? But if his job will help you fulfill the definition of being by going through the journey of it, then the Buddhas better help you. They better be a source of reliance on that. That's what I mean by whatever you're going to do, as long as you align it with ultimate fulfillment of being, take refuge. And this is the last thing, and this is the very practical thing. Have a conversation the same with the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the same way you would have a conversation with your best friend. Okay. Don't think of them as the emperor living on their high palace and you need to go through 10 million deputies and ministers so that your letter can get to to the emperor. Okay, that's your best friend. Have a conversation. The same way you're open. You don't have to worry about, oh, is that the way to phrase it if I'm talking to the Buddha? If the Buddha is going to be afraid of your words, what kind of Buddha is that? A Buddha Miriam? Okay, so that was a very weird, probably the strangest talk you ever heard on on the Refuge and the Three Jewels. And I could have gone into the mystical, the metaphysical, but you know, the mystical and the metaphysical, they leave, beautiful, and then there's nothing you can do with it. Okay. All right. Now, questions, comments, anything that I missed, anything that you would have liked to cover that wasn't covered. Or you all stunned because you never heard of such a, it's not what you're expecting at all. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you so much for that talk. My name's Kurt, and I was just curious when you said about um, trusting compassion, and you spoke about, you know, leaning into, the handrail metaphorically, and measuring the quality of compassion in an action. Um, could you say a little bit more about that? Because what came up for me was, well, how do I really know what compassion is, um, when I'm doing something, and I'm trying to discern if I'm taking true refuge, or if I'm just finding comfort in something that doesn't serve me.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. Remember the inner validator.
Mm.
The inner validator is always speaking. It's always speaking the truth, and then it doesn't waste time repeating itself. Okay. But unfortunately, its voice gets mixed with a bunch of other interpretations. It gets mixed up with all the filters that we have because of our experience, because of our traumas, because of whatever, right? It gets filtered. But the instinct, that is, what the reason I'm referring to the inner validator is that there's something in you that knows what compassion is, what real compassion is. It's just that somehow this real compassion gets thrown into this sea of, muck and misunderstanding and bad experience and trauma. And then sort of compassion gets lost. And when we think we are reaching to compassion because we sort of see it and we are reaching towards it, but but because we are somewhat reaching, like we hear it, but our eyes are closed and we are reaching for it, and we sort of grab the wrong thing. Okay. But that inner validator will tell you that's compassion. That's not compassion. And in a realistic way, what I'm saying is when you feel you're acting out of compassion, act. Don't determine right in there, oh, this is is this real compassion? Is this not real compassion? Should I act? Should I not act? By reaching out and acting and relying on the inner validator, it will tell you, oh, sorry, you grabbed the wrong thing. That wasn't compassion. You were just whatever, right? You were just trying to plug a hole in your traumatic life or something. Okay. Okay. But by reaching out, we are exercising the call for compassion. And now we know if this was not compassion, now we know this is not compassion. Now we know. So whether it was real or not, we will gain greater wisdom by actually exercising it.
Mm. Thank you.
All right.
I just want to clarify
Yes.
something. Are you saying, because I think this is my experience too, but are you saying that our inner validator, like we get confirmation of our inner validator after the fact? Like if we don't fully trust it, but we just go with it after the fact, like we get the confirmation, yeah, that was actually from a true place or not? Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So just
And
like,
the reason for that exercise is because we are in doubt.
yeah.
And the only way to push the doubt out is to, because the inner validator say, this is it. And if we instinctively just jump and grab exactly what the inner validator sent to us, we would have grabbed it. It would not have been mixed with all the different things there. It's when we didn't grab it immediately, then it gets caught up in all the different things. Then we are in doubt. And the only way to free that doubt is to grab anything. Yeah.
Definitely been my experience. Thank you. Wait, and I have another question, because I have certain practices that I do that are non-Buddhist to connect to that inner validator, my source of truth. But are there Buddhist practices besides meditation that help, and that are not like secret teachings, that help strengthen the voice or the connection?
It's a kind of mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
that you carry out throughout the day. There is that sense of it that we feel. Sometimes it's stronger than other times. So we keep reconnecting to it. Either if it's not present in any palpable way, then we connect to it through just the memory when we felt that connection. Okay. And throughout the day, just keep reconnecting. Keep reconnecting.
Yeah.
Even if what we'll reconnect to is just the memory of it. Okay. That will help.
I get that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Great seeing you.
It's good seeing you. I want to have a whole chat with you one day just about some of the stuff that I do that is not Buddhist, but is so aligned with what you teach.
Then they're Buddhist.
Probably.
Someone else? Thank you. I just took refuge in a different posture. Because the other one was uncomfortable. Okay. All right. So let's, usually we would have tea, but one day. All right. So I probably stun you. So wait a minute.
Can I say that was the most practical explanation of the Three Jewels ever?
I understand what you're saying.
No, you never said this before. I don't mean just you teaching, I mean in the three universes, right? So, of course.
All right, thank you. Great seeing you too. Yes.
Actually, so I just have to be honest, like I'm not as deeply studied, and I just need some clarification around the actual Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and particularly, what is the difference between the Buddha and the Dharma? Like the person, and like when you're taking refuge in that, you know, I actually don't, and I don't feel like I have a Buddhist Sangha. So like the actuality of these things.
Yeah.
What is that?
So when you become fulfilled, you will be Buddha. So Buddha is always connected to a personality of some sort.
Right.
Dharma is that which will help you become enlightened Buddha, and that which you know that which you're experiencing as a Buddha. That's the Dharma. So Dharma is non-personal. I can understand what you're talking about. The Dharma is non-personal, and the Buddha is personal. So in a sense, they're sort of like, almost like the same thing, almost talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm clarifying. And when I'm taking refuge in the Buddha, I'm taking refuge in like the the Shakyamuni, like original Buddha, or am I taking refuge in like the idea of myself as a Buddha one day? Like,
Yeah, you're taking refuge in both of those.
okay.
Yeah, in both of those, because both of them speaks to a conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I can, and someone else has already done it. Yeah.
And then the Sangha.
The Sangha is.
I know what it is, but like I don't have, I guess this is, I'm not like personally connected with many people here. So it's like, is this my Sangha? Like, where's my, like who is the Sangha that I'm taking refuge in?
And the best way I say is those we can rely on them because they are sincerely seeking what we are seeking. Mm. Not because they just happen to be in the group, but rather they have within them the sincerity of seeking what I am seeking. That sincerity makes them the Sangha.
Even if they're not like Buddhists.
Yeah, even if they're not Buddhists.
That's it. I just needed that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's clear.
And I deliberately then go into the classical authoritative definition of those things, because I don't want people to spend a lot of time not able to take refuge, even though they have the classical definitions in their minds. All right. Okay. Going once, going twice. Sold. We end. Okay, so get ready to end the meditation. So bring to mind a conscious intention to enter into a state that you have some clear idea as being the meditative state. And what is that for you? In a general way, is somehow doing something or not doing something where we find ourselves accessing and abiding in ever subtle levels of consciousness. And these are powerful means for bringing about meaningful transformation. And what are the transformations, ultimate and along the way, that we are seeking? That's motivation. So hold these in your mind as you make adjustments in your body, in your posture, making sure you're comfortable, making sure you're stable. And recall as clearly as you can the experience of being in the meditative state. Just remember it. And with that vivid recalling, you begin to taste it. And as soon as you taste it, surrender to what you're tasting. And take a nice deep breath to stabilize in through the nose. Breathe in. And through the mouth, release. And release, 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 let go, 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 let go. And notice the calm, notice the pleasantness, notice the sensations pointing to clarity, pointing to radiance in their own way, in your own way of experiencing them. And think of that word and try to experience or see in some way what it is pointing to, us. And to help connect with that, what that word is pointing to, the us, visualize or have a sense of all of us being in one space, and it is wherever you are, we are in that space. No matter how small it is, how big it is, we are all there. And our number we do not obstruct each other. We are all comfortable. And we form a circle, and there's a ray of light coming from our hearts, touching each one of us. And that ray of light comes from each one of us, goes towards the center. And in the center, our collected light begins to congeal and to take on a form, growing, and that's us. That's what you might call a personification of us, the collective us. Us gives each one of us strength, and our strength gives the us strength. And it continues to grow until that bright light presence of us completely engulfs us, we completely merge into that light. There's no more the appearance of the individual us anymore. It's just that one bright light us. And it fills the space where you are. And not only including the us, these different bodies, but also the space itself, the room itself, the entire house, the neighborhood. It continues to grow, and that's us still, continues to grow. And whenever you have the image of someone comes into your mind, immediately think us. Let them merge into that growing bright light presence until the entire earth is infused, is melted, has become that us light. Not only human beings, but all life, even the oceans, the rivers, the mountains, the clouds, the sky, all us. And in whatever comes to your mind, where there is a place, a thing, immediately think of it as you would think of your toes, your hair, your nails, just another part of you, us. And that sense of us is not only felt by us here, but it's all felt by everything that this light envelops. So the birds also feel it. The ocean also feel it, that we are part of it. We are part of it. It is part of us. And every life, everything have been infused with this sense of us. So let that light stay here, or let it go to an infinite growth where there's a sense of all reality is enveloped by this us. And with that, slowly, that light begins to shrink. And as it shrinks, it leaves behind what it was enveloped until it comes back to the us again, until it comes back to that bright presence in our center. And having been infused in that light of us, we still, even though we are experiencing our individuality very strongly, the sense of us remains with us. And as a sign of us, as a son of that bright presence of light in the center that was us now becomes rays of light that is absorbed into each one of us. And now we each feel in our individuality, we are us. Be aware of the meditative state itself, the calm, the pleasantness, the clarity, the radiance through those inner sensations. Rejoice. Feel what you might call the signature and power of your meditation, and think of something that sincerely concerns you, whatever it may be, as long as it sincerely concerns you. Dedicate the meditation to address that concern. Now make the intention to arise from the meditation. Before, let's do the common dedication. Gyo di gyo gun sunam yeshe zozo shin sunam yeshe le zhongwe damba kunye doba shu. Feel the joy, whatever measure of joy there is in the meditation, feel it. And as you continue to stay connected to it, make the intention to arise with that. Take a nice deep breath, feel it, hear it in the nose, out the mouth. And deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings. Be aware of the temperature, be aware of the feel of the clothing on you, be aware of the different sounds, and be aware of the different lights, the different shadows, the different colors, the different shapes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. The rest of it.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you. Please keep teaching us.
Thank you. And thank you for the question. Questioner.
That was me. We did it together.
Okay.
All right, guys, I just put links to the Patreon page and Phuntsok's Venmo as well. If you are able to contribute to class, that's awesome. We can keep these going.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you. Somebody showed up.